Hi, welcome back to the Peterson Automotive Museum YouTube channel. I'm Jonee Eisen, Associate Curator here at the museum, and today we're going to talk about a true unicorn that anybody who's played Gran Turismo is sure to recognize, the 1995 Nissan GT-R LM Nismo road car. So what is a GTR? Well, it started life as something very different from what we see here and what is currently on sale at Nissan dealerships. It was the high-performance version of the Skyline, a sporty mid-size sedan and coupe that Nissan has produced since the 1950s. From 69 to 72, they created the GTR, which was the highest performance version of a sporty little car. And they used this car in various racing formats.
One of the most legendary cars in Fuji Speedway's history is the Skyline GT-R, aka Hakosuka GTR. Of its incredible 58 victory races, 32 took place at Fuji Speedway.
And then it went on hiatus for about 16 years to return in 1989. 1989, Nissan hasn't produced a Skyline since the early 70s. They decided to bring it back and take it racing in Group A sports car racing. The car proved dominant in Japan and Australia, and it was in Australia where it gets the nickname Godzilla. It pretty much won everything. It won the championship in Australia, won almost every race it entered in Japan. It was a legendary car.
The GTR is the most sophisticated weapon yet seen in Group A touring car racing.
So in addition to dominating Group A sports car racing with the R32 Godzilla GTR, Nissan also produced a series of very successful prototype or non-production based race cars for Group C sports car racing. In '94, however, regulations changed, and that pretty much spelled the end of the prototype era in sports car racing. And the new category, GT1, was supposed to be production car based. In 1995, Nissan introduced the successor to the R32 GTR, the appropriately named R33, and decided that they wanted to take it to Le Mans, the greatest race in the world, and enter it in the new GT1 class. Now, regulations said that it had to be based on a road car. But the company only had to build one of these road cars, unlike in previous series where you had to build, say, 200 to 500 road cars and actually sell them to the public. So Nissan took their R33 and made the most badass version of it possible, and that's the car that we see here. A normal R33 GTR was an all-wheel drive car. It was a sports car meant for the road, not meant to be a race car. So to turn it into a race car, Nissan stripped it of all excessive weight, bringing it down to around 1,150 kilograms. That meant losing the all-wheel drive system and making it purely rear-wheel drive. Le Mans was an endurance race, unlike the old Group A and Group C sports car racing. And for the car to last over 24 hours, they felt it was much more practical to just keep it to rear-wheel drive. It was a less complicated system, and the car could then, be driven for an entire day. So some of the modifications this car has includes this incredible body kit. It's actually 2 inches wider than a standard R33 GTR. This helps aerodynamics, it gives it greater downforce, and also improves cooling. You can see the hood has these vents, and there's one back here for cooling the brakes. And these are some of the additions that had to be homologated with this road car. Also, the race car was tuned to 400 horsepower. This particular car, it's been down-tuned to 300 horsepower to give it a more road car kind of specifications. So the interior on this car is actually really fun. It does look like a high-performance car interior. You've got these Recaro seats, you've got your Alcantara covered steering wheel. What I really love is the pattern on the seats with that Nismo logo stitched in them, but the checkerboard pattern has a very Porsche Pasha kind of feel to it. It sort of looks like a checkered flag that's being waved at the finish line. It's really neat and totally unique, one that is really, really, really cool. So how did the race car do at Le Mans that year? Well, it finished what Nissan considered was a disappointing 5th in class and 10th overall, except when you consider the cars in front of it were all McLaren F1s, the fastest production car in the world at the time. Its result was actually pretty impressive. And Nissan did return to Le Mans the following year with a more powerful R33, but it's this car that has become legendary.
最高のドライビングプレジャーを求めて最高のテクノロジーを追求する
So why is this car so legendary and so important? Part of it is, of course, that it's a one-off. It's the only one ever made, and things that are one of a kind are just inherently special. But also this car came at a very important time for the Japanese car industry. The mid-1990s, the Japanese economy was experiencing an economic bubble, and so the Japanese car companies were able to invest in their own technology, in design, and this car, of course, represents the peak performance and technology of that era for the Japanese automobile industry. Also, it was a time when new generations of car enthusiasts were coming around. Video games were becoming more and more part of society. And the stigma of Japanese cars from the 1970s, where they were just thought of as cheap, compact cars, that image was beginning to change. We had Japanese luxury cars, Japanese performance cars. The whole idea of what a Japanese car meant to people was completely different than it had been several decades before. And for young people growing up at the time, they didn't see Japanese cars the same way that other Americans or Europeans did. They just saw them as really cool cars. Then, of course, we get into video games. Like we talked about, this car was figured prominently in Gran Turismo, and a new generation of video game fans thought this car was just awesome. Then in the early 2000s, we start to get a whole series of films which feature Japanese cars the same way that things like Mustangs and muscle cars did previously. The Fast and Furious series, of course, had a huge impact on the image of Japanese cars, and the GTR being the top performance car around, also a car that was a bit of a unicorn to Americans. It wasn't available in America until the 2000s. It gave this car a certain aura and mystique. This generation, the R33, coming on the heels of the Godzilla R32 generation, just made this car very special. And we're really proud to be able to display it here in our totally awesome exhibit on the first floor here at the Petersen. So when this car first arrived at the museum, it was really like seeing a mythical creature come out of the delivery truck, something that we had only heard whispers of, you know, the one-of-a-kind GTR that only existed in Japan, that nobody's ever driven. I've driven a few GTRs, the most recent generation, and that car is really something special. There is just an incredible combination of power and handling and technology. This is obviously a more primitive thing. Of course, I've never driven it. Most people haven't driven it. The president of Nissan has never driven it. But it really has a certain presence about it. It's a very just special looking car. Just looking at it, you know that this is something that is incredible. I also come from a bit of an older generation. So for me, when I was a kid, like I talked about, you know, Japanese cars were still cheap. They were Datsuns. Nissan, of course, in America, evolved out of Datsuns. And so to think that this is a Datsun is sort of mind-blowing. But I absolutely love it. I'm somebody who went to the very first Japanese classic car show out here in LA, which started out as like a sort of a family event with a few people who liked old Japanese cars. I remember people came up to me and they said, Japanese cars will never be a classic. You know, a Camaro is a classic, but you know, how could you appreciate these cars? Well, this is a classic, and it's really a testament to how the Japanese car industry went from followers to leaders. In the 60s, they were copying cars made in Europe. By the 1990s, everybody was copying them. So that's the 1995 Nissan GT-R LM Nismo road car. I'm Jonee Eisen. Thanks for watching. To stay up to date on all our videos, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. And when you're in Los Angeles, come and visit us here at the Peterson Automotive Museum.